ideas that were on the sheet of paper, because obviously we all don't have time to do them all, which are the things that we want to really look at and decide to do. And so here's kind of the condensed list. Not all of them, but a lot of the ideas are on here. And just looking at what are some of the things that we really feel like we can get accomplished. And both, like I mentioned, short and long term, what are some of the things that we want to do. So the idea going away from today is that you feel like you have a good grasp on the direction that the group is going to go, or the ideas that we've talked about and some of the things that we could be doing. Not necessarily that we're going to be doing them next month, but eventually we will be working on some of these things. So what we want to do today is really have you look at these different ideas and figure out what resonates the most with you, so that we can hopefully start forming some smaller groups that will be all about action and not necessarily about meetings, right? Because nobody really wants to fit in more meetings in their life. But we will need to get together to talk about how we're going to move forward and organize. So we've got Go Green, and this is action, talking about relation to the diet and the environment, which addresses landscaping, permaculture, CSAs, plant-based diet, and those kinds of things, which actually goes along with
the next one.
Barb's idea of hosting a vegan cooking event.
I mean, it wasn't my idea, but I took that.
Yes, yeah. So, as you can see, obviously some of these things cross a line. Now, for me, it's going to take me a while to gather all of these ideas in my, and conceptualize, and I think it's the same way for everybody here. You've all been to different tables, talked about different ideas. So, as we look at these after today and gather the ideas, I think it's going to be a little bit easier to say, here's some of the high points and what's resonating with people now. Moving on, become a go-to organization, possibly having a political type arm for showing climate change and being the focal point for other groups. Encourage, well, I don't know what that one is.
Biophilia.
Yeah, what's biophilia?
Well, it's Carol's term.
December 10th, come to the Artwood and Legacy Symposium at Country Club, and you'll learn about it. But basically, it's encouraging people to learn. We talked about being concerned about our environment, learn about what's around us, and learn how to live with nature as humans.
I think furthermore, what she's trying to get at there is that we've put all the emphasis on humans, and we're not talking about the rest of creation. So.
Cool. Well, and that is all about education. So obviously, we've got planned educational programs to be delivered for after-school programs. All of that ties together as well. So looking at some of these themes that cross over is really what we will be doing. So educating the public, being educated ourselves, obviously is a strong component of that. Advocating for the third R, reduce consumption. For Go Green, it's all about sustainability. Victory Gardens of climate change. And that was also, I think, on another couple lists. But raising up, so watching what other businesses are doing, what other organizations are doing, and if they're doing a great job with LEED certification or being sustainable, like the Indian Creek Nature Center is just an amazing example of that. Really kind of highlighting them and what they're doing, and maybe have a tour, maybe set up a tour there and find out some of their ideas and what they're doing and how they've become LEED certified.
I don't think that was the point of that one, though. We were talking about during World War II, and everyone had a victory garden, and they were all contributing to the answer. Okay. And so find what that victory garden is for climate change. So everyone, get on the bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and yes, what you said. And
yes.
Yeah, and back to what you said, we had talked at some point about having some kind of a little designation that you could give, not that business is fair at this point, but developing some sort of symbol or something. Okay, you're a gold star business because you really do blah blah blah, and then people who want to support that.
Yeah. This is gonna seem like a tangent, but it really relates to that.
Okay.
So y'all have heard of Tree City, Iowa, Tree City, the Arbor Day Foundation. So I'm working with the group trying to come up with bird-friendly Iowa, so bird-friendly corporate campus, business, or something like that. So
Yes.
seal of approval kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, her, yeah.
Well, you're right.
Okay.
I'm not sure what resist the technical fix out is.
That means we're always asking technology to save us from the problems that technology has created.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Yes. Okay, so community gardens support those that are already established, or initiate action to discontinue plastic bags, which the 100 Grannies are already doing in Iowa City. They're actually doing a great job with that. Advertise CSOs on our website. So obviously our website is going to be a huge thing.
Which brings us to another point. If there's anyone here who
Yes.
is a real wizard with that, it would be really nice for you to step forward and help us.
Yes, so our website, our social media, and all of that is going to be a huge component of our next steps, because that's where that's going to be our portal to get people to engage, hopefully. Finding local businesses that are focused on environmental practices and promote them, very similar to the other idea of, what was the other idea?
That was the idea. That's what we're talking about.
Okay. Speakers Bureau, people here their background is very impressive. I mean, to get onto a Speakers Bureau, I know that Interfaith Power and Light has got a really good Speakers Bureau, so to try and get those kind of pumped up with people that are really knowledgeable about their topic and having them participate with that and speak.
And Optimus and Rotary, those groups are always looking for speakers because I think they meet frequently and need lots of.
And all of that kind of goes with the outreach,
Yeah.
which is right here, which is in the green. Yeah. Investigate energy descent plans or transition towns.
It was on the list. I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not either.
Someone else.
I have tons of stuff, and
Okay.
Anamosa is the only town
That's right.
in Iowa pursuing that, and that's called the mulling stage. Let's read more about it.
It's called what?
What?
What's it called?
The transition, basically it's called a transition initiative. And basically it's communities coming together and saying, how do we move away from fossil fuels? And, which includes everything we're talking about. Community gardens, putting together economics that function when things go wrong, such as sharing projects in communities. A lot of churches do that already to some degree, but are more expansive. I would encourage you to read any of the books, go on the TED site and listen to Rob Hopkins, who is the Englishman who just sort of started it. He was a permaculture teacher. Still,
I have a question about, is this a 501c3 organization?
Nationally, yes.
Because you can't lobby,
Right.
so.
Nationally, the organization 350.org is a 501c3. Locally here, we don't have any kind of affiliation like that.
So we could lobby.
Yes, yes.
And
Not in
even
the
as a
name of
nonprofit.
360 though, could you?
As a nonprofit, you can lobby. It's only a certain percentage of your
Now,
income.
if you're a 501c3, because I.
Yes, no, that's what I'm saying. As a 501c3, you can, but you cannot dedicate more than a certain percentage of your revenue to that lobbying endeavor.
Because I got chewed out doing a presentation for our organization. I told them we were 501c3.
And you can always educate.
Well,
You call it education and not lobbying, and you're good.
We've always done that.
Yeah.
I belong to a group that has a national umbrella organization that's a 501c3, and we participate in their 501c3-ness as for tax purposes. And as long as you receive less than $50,000 a year, you just file annually electronically. You don't have to fill out any forms or anything like that. You just say, we didn't get over that amount of money, and that's it.
Cool. At some point, you know, the group may want to move to that, but that also requires a board of directors and a lot of other pieces that need to go along with it. So for right now, we're not any kind of nonprofit affiliation like 501c3, nothing official like that. Generating an email list to recruit folks to carry out these action items. So if you have not signed up, so most of you are very, very good about doing RSVP on the website, which is fantastic. If you want to get connected with 350.org, you have to sign up on the membership tab, which is when you go to our site, iowa350.org. It's on the left-hand side. You scroll down, it's on the left-hand side. But realize that when you do that, you are also getting connected with the national organization, which means that you will get information about when they have different campaigns. Some of the larger campaigns, you will get stuff from them. And that's just kind of how it rolls. So please get signed up with that. I will be looking at that. We will be looking at that to make sure that people that are signed up are getting information about our group as we develop and form so that they can participate. You know, they can say, hey, that sounds good to me. I'm going to go do that, hopefully. That's our hope. Anyway, any questions about that? Okay. This outreach says show videos at the library for kids and adults, as well as create videos to show what local people are doing, so like putting it on Facebook and the website, and attend council meetings and present the topic. So really just working locally for the outreach. And there's lots of material, I meant to mention this before, there's lots of material up here as well. When we talk about videos at the library, there's books here that Rick was very nice to bring in. I also brought, well, I'm going off topic here, sorry.
Are you talking about the Cedar Rapids Library?
Actually, these books are from Rick.
No,
I
for
mean,
videos,
when
yeah.
you talk about library.
It could be
you had
any
Oh,
singular-
right.
If you had singular up there,
Any
that
library.
wouldn't be fair to Marion. Marion Library is probably the third most used library in the state.
Well, when I say Cedar Rapids Library, I really meant, I think that somebody
The Metro,
mentioned the Hiawatha, Marion, and Cedar Rapids.
The Metro.
Libraries are all connected, so
It's
that,
not a metro deal.
We
But
would
if
want all
you-
libraries. All libraries.
yeah, all libraries are
All
connected,
libraries.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then divestment, we talked about IPERS, and Rick is very interested in getting IPERS to divest from fossil fuels. We talked about the Bakken pipeline, so Tom is very involved, has been very involved with that. Sally's interested in that as well. I've been part of the Bakken resistance too. If you want any information about the Bakken, go to nobakken.com. There's a ton of great information there. And if you have time, if you want to send an objection to the utility board, please do that. This is happening fast and furious, and we do not want this thing to be built in Iowa, so that's my little spiel on that. Promoting electric cars, PV panels, wind generation, and geothermal. As part of divestment, that's as part of the fossil-free, to make sure that we are doing the renewables, promoting renewable energy. And supporting local ordinances and requiring carbon-free, or requesting carbon-free goals and targets, which I think, somebody had mentioned Dubuque, and to me, Dubuque is like the gold standard for our state, right? Because they've got short-term and long-term goals, and by such and such a date, they're going to have a certain percent in renewables and all of that. So I feel like it would be nice to start working with the local city council and the conservation and county boards and that kind of thing. And so if anybody is politically minded about that stuff, that would be great to kind of get into that realm as well. So Dennis and Charlie both have been named by those actions.
You know,
So if you,
one thing that's not up there that's very concrete is working to get a plank in the platforms in the caucuses.
Oh, good point.
And we don't even, I mean, we're in Iowa, we don't even have the caucuses up there.
Go to the caucuses to
Yeah.
get planks in the plank.
so that would be outreach,
I don't know if you can do that.
I'm guessing?
Caucuses.
Do we want to formulate
Right.
Yeah,
language?
I think that's,
I think so too. That's a
Yeah,
good
you can go
idea.
there, so-
Okay, so how would you want me to put that?
I think have a group that would formulate language to
Yeah.
submit for a plank on
that could be, and then find some Republicans
the, yeah.
to support the Republicans.
You said formulate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, repeat what you said.
I said formulate language that could be incorporated as a plank in the national party or state party. Well,
Presidential caucus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
presidential.
Or get some of our members on the platform
Oh,
committees
that's a good,
of
yeah.
the
That's
parties
right,
to
yeah,
be able to
yeah.
introduce that stuff. Because frankly, I think for Republicans, denial is really just a river. So,
In that case, you need to go to the local Democratic caucus, because that's where you vote on what's going to be on your
Yeah.
platform.
Right.
Right.
And the
Well, you need to get on a platform committee before that.
Yeah, that's right.
It has to be
submitted.
They ask for committee
Yeah.
of volunteers, and that's,
Oh, wow. work.
But you can add things on.
That's a really good idea.
Largely ignored.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
to incorporate as a plank for what?
The presidential, for the party platforms.
Party
during the
caucuses,
presidential
party
caucus.
caucuses.
Okay.
yeah, and I think since we're in the season, for when we show up at, candidate events, then if we can get a question, have a chance to address a question, then we should know what that question is that has to do with our work before we go in. And if more than one of us can go to those events, then there's a bigger chance of getting one of us called on.
Yeah.
And I think the question is, are you concerned about climate change, but what are the top 3 things that you propose to do to address climate change?
Yeah.
And put them on the spot.
Well, and one more question, and I got this, I asked on a conference call, that the guys in Washington that are affiliated with OFA, and I said this, I said, we're gonna go and ask questions, and I said, what do you think is the most important question that we should ask? And what he said is to ask them, do you believe in the science of climate change? Because that's where they're gonna start out and indicate really, that they can't talk their way around that. So that might be a good
Don't you
possibility.
already know based on what party they're from?
Yeah, well, yeah, but you
That's a
gotta
basic
let
question.
them
I like-
expose themselves.
I think I'd like to see what they plan to do about it.
Gotta start somewhere.
Also, you say I'm not a scientist.
That 3 points question is an excellent one.
Yeah.
Well, and if you can
I'm
make
not gonna
it,
go ask some Republican whether he believes in it, I know he doesn't.
Yeah.
but you can bring it
But
down.
that's what are you gonna
bring
do
it
about it?
Well,
Assume
well, the
citizens
other way-
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you, like our flood.
The other
I
way
used our
to address it
flood,
is
and that's concrete.
how inclusive is your energy policy? Because sometimes, they'll say, well, we're interested in this, but not that. Or sometimes they'll say, we're interested in all of the above. The energy, if you address it as an energy policy,
Wouldn't they
I
just
think
go off
everyone-
on secure, domestic
Well,
energy? Would they really?
whatever you
take
ask,
climate
they're
change?
probably not gonna answer it the way that you want to hear it.
Don't just say
Oh,
you're
that's
not
definition
scientists.
and judgment.
But if you ask them about energy policy and ask them, are you willing to consider other things other than fossil fuel? It's more likely to be answered.
And I completely agree that obviously we're in a realm where we need to be focused on what we should be talking with these candidates about, getting them on record, in front of all these cameras that are all over the place all the time, and really get them to answer some of those questions. I completely agree. I think that should be a big part of what this group is about, is addressing that. However, if that's not your gig, there's certainly a lot of other topics that, we have kind of mentioned here. And I know that like Next Gen, League of Conservation Voters, Citizens Climate Lobby are all, like that is their main focus is bird dogging. you know, really, so I feel like a lot of that's being, addressed, for sure. Anything else, Marion? You had your hand up.
Yes, I was going to say, I had real good luck with writing a letter to the Gazette editor.
Yes.
About a week ago, and it got in, and it was something that Senator Rob Hogan asked our committee to do, to write these letters, and it got a lot of interest, and I had another congressman write me a note of thanks and appreciated it so much. This morning there was another letter, you know, telling me I was all wrong.
But at least they read it.
But that's right.
But, you know, some things like this to keep it in people's attention, and I got a lot of feedback from me.
Very good letter, very succinct and very personal.
And Pat, your letter, your editorial, your opinion.
Well, I just want to speak up about Democrats and Republicans. My brother is a huge Republican, and he lives in Denver, and he voted yes for marijuana because of the taxes.
Yeah.
And so everything turns around. It's where you're at. It's not just Democrat or Republican. So a lot of different, various and people. So it's, you know, there's different ways.
So try to find the positive approach.
That's right.
Yes.
You know, I was thinking too, if, you know, all of the colleges around here have national speakers that come in. It would really be great if more of those speakers could be climate focused. Yeah, I was thinking, I would love to hear Naomi Klein sometimes. I don't know if she does a speaking tour, but you know.
She's a board member of 350, so I would think she'd be, somehow we have a touring schedule that you can look at and maybe work together.
Our first meeting of the United Nations in September is going to be on climate change.
Oh, great.
Excellent speakers.
Great.
Get the word out.
Will that be open to the public then?
Send that to one
Anyone
of
can
us.
come, yes.
So we need to
And they're held at First Lutheran Church.
When is it, Marion?
It's the United Nations, Lynn County United Nations.
But when is it?
It's on climate change.
But
when is it?
When or where?
It's either the second or third Thursday of September. I have to.
Well, you know about that.
Do you want to send that to one of us so we can put it on the website?
Well, and that reminds me, so there's a calendar that's already developed that they're trying to gather all these different climate groups to have just one calendar. It's called the Iowa Climate Calendar. And it was the group in Des Moines that's part of Citizens Climate Lobby that said, you know, it would be great to have one place, one-stop shop, so that you can look at it and decide, you know, what's going on today, tomorrow, the next day, that I can be involved with. And our group is going to participate with that, because why develop something that's already there? That is something else that I want to really hammer on, is that I feel like our group doesn't necessarily need to do something that another group is already focused on. You know, if we see that, you know, some of these, oh hey, you know, whatever, I don't know, I'll just pick Sierra Club is doing, has a special on community gardens or whatever. We don't necessarily have to go down that path. We can just join with them and help promote what they're already doing. So this part gets kind of difficult in narrowing down what exactly we're going to do and what our group's already doing so that we can move forward. But the idea is, again, to break out into smaller groups and to really start doing some action things. And I don't know, Rick, do you want to tackle the basic organizing ideas?
Could you clarify something with me?
Yes.
Because if Citizen for Climate Change and Next Gen are working on, what's the point of forming another group? And I'm not trying to be negative, I'm just saying, like, what are we trying to do here that necessitates yet another group instead of trying to build onto theirs?
This is more of an umbrella group, isn't it? 350?
Yes, I think of 350 as kind of a bit of an umbrella group, because when we were talking about, okay, what does this group do, what does that group do, it seemed like it was a lot of them had kind of a narrow focus. 350 is all about climate change in itself, so it could mean a lot of things to a lot of different people, obviously. And 350 provides kind of a realm for everybody to come together and talk about what they're doing, so that hopefully that is a place where people can convene and gather synergy together, so that if Trees Forever has a large event, let's say, we can kind of disseminate that information and say, hey, you know, if you're not doing anything on Saturday, there's a tree plant at such and such. And because 350 doesn't have a thing that is like, well, yeah, but what we do is talk with legislators, that's what we do. You know, people can say, hey, yeah, that would be kind of cool to actually get my hands dirty, get out there and plant some trees. I like that idea, I'm going to go do it. I feel like that is what's refreshing about 350, is that the definition of who we are is right here. And what we decide what we're going to work on. So Tom, for instance, he already said, I don't have a ton of time. My main interest is the Bakken pipeline. I love that. Great, he can work on the Bakken pipeline. He can help our group stay informed about what's going on. You know, so it's really, the other piece to it is it's really gathering people and getting them connected and being just very local about it, being very open. This group is, you know, about diversity as well. And so reaching out to different age groups, to all different groups, you know, to try and gather people in, I feel is really what our role is supposed to be, is to gather people. So if somebody is more interested in trees and they're like, hey, you know, what I want to do is, you know, help with planting trees, I say go become a member of Trees Forever, you know. And that's kind of my thought on how the group, you know, should transpire. And we just have a couple more minutes.
Thank
so
you for addressing that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. But does that because honestly, I've had several people say, "Do we really need another environmental group? How is that really going to help?" And when I looked around the room, I saw people that were connected with all these different organizations they're already doing. So how are we going to bring more people together? And honestly, I think a big piece of it is that get creative. We have to get creative. We have to get people that are creative to find more successful ways to bring people into the conversation.
Okay, with, what, 2 minutes left?
Sorry.
No, we can do it real short. Not everybody is posted. You may still wish to post, but it looks like when it's the best day and time to meet, it looks like evenings on Thursday. That's sort of the suggested area. There are some who are saying, no, I couldn't make it on those days. So we may transition that between that and maybe an occasional weekend. I don't think we would have to hold to exactly the same date if we could plan ahead month to month if we're having them monthly. I'm sure some groups will meet weekly if they're busy working on an action of some sort. What should be our mission? One says engage lots of regular folks. I've heard that before. And educate and influence, which is general and I think covers what we've been talking about and what Cheryl's been talking about. What should be our core values? Encourage participation from all ages, support each other, positive focus, positive, open, fun, and accomplish. So it sounds like the positive focus, I think is terribly important personally to me, but getting as many people as involved as possible and getting certainly more young people involved. So I think we're probably going to pull this together and post on our website as the information we gather.
Yeah, so as long as I'm sure we have everyone's email, I will, we will type this up and get this information back up to everyone with our next dates, depending on what best day and time. So if you have not, that's the most important column over there, is the best day and time that you can meet. If you can put that up, if you plan to meet as a full group. We usually meet once a month. I feel like then people can say, oh yeah, the third, whatever, Thursday of the month is my 350 night or whatever. We'll do that. If we have enough people, we will look at forming a steering team. If not, that's fine. We don't have to have a steering team. But then also developing these smaller groups. So, like some of the things that, as you mentioned, Carol, why does this group need to exist? Some of the things that came to me just even this past week are a guy from Martin O'Malley's office called, and he wants to get like a environmental the environmental representatives together to meet at O'Malley's office on Friday and talk about environmental stuff and his plan to address climate change. There's MidwestUnrest.org. Youth are attending Kerry's house to stop the Enbridge tar sand scandal on August 25th. They plan to just sit and basically be arrested. And there's a whole thing about that. We will be at the Cedar Rapids Farmers Market on Green Day with a table. That's September 19th, and obviously in the morning. The Paris conference that's coming up, I have a full list of all that 350 is planning to do. I'm sure all environmental groups are going to be all over that and what they can do to kind of raise this conversation up. And then I'm also working with a group to form Midwest Convergence, where some of the leaders of the 350 group will get together in Madison. That won't be until 2016. But I guess my point that I'm trying to make is that we're a local group, and yet we have this national presence, which is great to tap into, national presence and national resources. Because when we go to participate in their campaigns, their press release is already there. We just basically pull it off, put our information in, print it off, send it to the media. And it works super great. It's like really easy. So there are all of those kinds of reasons why it's nice to have a 350 group forming. But any questions right before we are going to go out and take a little bit of a hiking tour?
I was wondering if you can send everyone else's email and phone number.
Yes. You all are okay with that? If I put together an Excel spreadsheet and you can all take a look and see, because you've all met some great resources here, right? I feel like our best resources are in this room. You know.
When you send an email, it'll have all the addresses, right?
But the other contact information.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before, make sure, sorry to do this, but if you use the coffee cup, if you would please just get it to the kitchen for me. There's a sink full of soapy water and any trash that you have, I know you'll all tidy up nice. So.
Yes, so thank you all so much for coming. We will continue this conversation. I feel like we're leaving with a few loose ends because we need to gather these ideas and figure out, you know, and look at them a little bit closer. Tom, do you have a question?
Let me make a quick pitch.
Oh, yes.
Yes, thanks for organizing this.
As we wind this down, I just want to make a really quick pitch for maybe some of you who may not be aware. Several of us have dropped the buzzword or have dropped the tagline, the Bakken Oil Pipeline. If you're unaware, it's a proposed out-of-state oil company that's going to be putting a pipeline through Iowa. 18 Iowa companies and a coalition of groups is formed to oppose that. There's still time to offer objections to that. I've got a postcard where you can do that. If you would like to file an objection, if you fill this out, I would collect that objection and mail it in for you. If you've done so already, you can still do another one. There's strength in numbers. There will be an Iowa Utility Board meeting in which these objections will be heard. And so as a member of Iowa CCI, as well as the Iowa Sierra Club and a wide variety of other organizations will be interveners in this process. This is just one way your voice can be heard. So if you'd like to do that, I've got several here.